My final thesis is about the artist Mario Meniti. He was a companion of Caravaggio in his early years in Rome, and then again when he escaped from Malta into Sicily. I decided to focus on Mario Meniti, and that way I could still explore Caravaggio, but maybe in a different context. He's more manageable. There's not as much written on Meniti. There would be more of an opportunity for me to discover something, make some new observations, as opposed to Caravaggio, who's been pretty heavily studied.
So my thesis is about Giorgio de Chirico and his time in America. He is an Italian artist, so I knew that there was going to be a lot of content that I could find here. I chose de Chirico in America because it is an understudied topic, and there's a lot to be explored under that topic. Also talking about the politics in America during the 1930s and the Great Depression and the New Deal and the art scene that was going on in New York, which is one of my favorite periods to study. Definitely from being in Italy and seeing a lot of original exhibitions that are here and that are only going to be here, my research has become more centered. In Milan, there was the wonderful futurist exhibit, Art, Life, Politics, Italia, from 1918 to 1943, and this was something that really helped my research. More about the politics in Italy during the 1920s. Because my thesis is on Giorgio de Chirico in America, I needed to study all of that up until the point that he got to America. So it was very important for me to get a really good and solid understanding of what happened in Italy at that time.
My focus for my thesis is on 19th century Pre-Raphaelite artist Maurice Bartoli Stillman and British author Vernon Lee, and how their close relationship influenced one another's work, and how the writings of Vernon Lee influenced Maurice Bartoli Stillman paintings and vice versa. So I started my research with British author Vernon Lee, and during researching her I found archives including 30 years of letters from Maurice Bartoli Stillman. And through those letters I found their personal relationship and their influence over one another, and how they cared for one another, and these two women both living unconventional lives.
So my thesis focuses on Bolognese women artists, starting with Caterina Vigri, and then Perpetua de Rossi, Lavinia Fontana, Antonia Pinelli, and ending with Elisabetta Serrani. So when I first arrived at SACI, I already knew that I wanted to study women artists, and most probably a specific women artist. And it was brought to my attention by my advisor, Helen Watterson, that Elisabetta Serrani would be a good choice. And I wanted to make her my main point, my main subject of my thesis. But with doing that, I also needed to trace back women artists in Bologna before her time. And when I found out how many successful or notable women artists came out of the city of Bologna, it led me to question why Bologna, and how the legends of these women artists kind of developed into what they are today. I analyzed the biographers that recorded their life stories and their rhetorical strategies and how they talk about women artists, because a woman artist in general was a legend in and of itself. And so I wanted to address how the legends developed and the writers that wrote about them and how it affects our overall viewpoint of these artists nowadays.
I'm an MA student specialized in late medieval and early Renaissance art in Italy. And my thesis is on Giotto's personifications of the virtues and the vices in the Arena Chapel. I decided to conduct a research on such a known topic because I couldn't help my urge to learn about the structure of the society and of the time, the position of the church back then, but also the revival of ancient literature and art. And in fact, there was still space for new discoveries.
It's been very beneficial for me to study an Italian Baroque artist while living in Italy. even though Caravaggio and Meniti that we know weren't active in Florence, they were active in Rome, they were active in Sicily, and they were active in Malta, and I was able to go to Sicily and Malta to do some kind of hands-on research, and it was extremely edifying for me to be able to experience these different places, and they really are entrenched in a lot of history, and even that was brought some great clarity to my thesis and added, I think, a real depth of authenticity, because you can really see where these artists came from, the cultural background that still exists. So, I mean, it's invaluable, really.
It was a culture shock at first for me. It's a different type of culture and a different type of people, but it was a growing experience and something I learned a lot of things about myself. I got to do a lot of traveling to other countries, and it's something that I always wanted to do, so I feel as though I became more independent. I got to see a lot of exhibitions that I never would have seen in the National Gallery and the Portrait Gallery in London, and the Cabaret Voltaire in Zurich, which is where the Dadaists originated, and that was really amazing. And I definitely appreciate that I was here for a year and not just a semester.
I'm studying pre-Raphaelite artists, and they were very much influenced by Dante, Boccaccio, and the city themselves. And Maurice Bartoli Stillman lived in Florence for a total of 5 years, and the city influenced her immensely, and it's just amazing to see what they saw and how important it was to them and how important it still is now.
Studying here in Florence, of course, is amazing. I have always been fascinated and extremely interested in Italian, Renaissance, and Baroque art, and of course that is where mostly all of them are housed is here in Florence in the various museums, especially the Uffizi Gallery. So basically seeing that and seeing other pieces that I loved for so long and studied and continually study, just to see them actually in person here is of course a blessing in and of itself. Researching in a different country, it's very difficult, but it's very rewarding at the same time. There's no greater opportunity being here and being surrounded by all the different cities where these artworks are housed at in the different museums, and being able to just catch a quick train ride to go see them. Especially with my thesis in particular, Bologna is only a quick, like 30-minute train ride away, and definitely makes it beneficial for my studies.
So last year, 5 days before the deadline to enter the program, I decided that I had to pursue my dream, to spend a year in Italy, to explore Italian art, language, food, air, and culture in general. I'm so glad to have visited so many places and to have gone to a Pietro della Francesca art hunting in Arezzo, San Sepolcro, Monterchi, the Palace of Urbino. So at the end of the year, I realized that I came, as I said, to explore Italy, but it rather seems that I discovered new parts, new aspects of myself.